Yeah, hi guys. So you can see now also it's not been easy at here. So I was thinking to build a big house with my parents to come and stay there. But right now I cannot do that because my animal was dying in the street, so people was stealing my chicken also. So I don't like it like that. So I decided to make this room and parlor so that I can come and live with my animals and to get little comfortable. Yeah, so that's why I built this house for me and the animal and for my little garden. Yeah, but now and the go fund I'm not able to control their nothing. I never take their money how I like to take it. I don't have no access to take money like I said. Yeah, so it's only Nadia who was controlling the go fund.
Good evening, and welcome to another special investigation with Delightful DTV. I'm DJ. Tonight, we're going to be discussing the situation with Haman Jallow, Gambian King, Nadia Nadir, and Renee Marcus. Now, the young man that you just heard is Haman Jallow, a young man that we were all introduced to because of work that he did with a family in the Gambia. He rose to fame quickly because of his fidelity, his loyalty, and his trustworthiness. So when he decided to step away from that family, he found lots of support. Renee raised her hand, Nadia Nadir raised her hand, and thousands of subscribers from all over the world decided that they wanted to pitch in and donate financially so that Haman Jallow could be financially independent and secure. Sounds like a great idea, right? Well, it was. But somehow and somewhere, things didn't quite materialize. A boat that was supposed to be purchased with the money was never bought. The house that Haman was building wasn't quite up to standard. And then the sad story started to come out of the Gambia. First, his phone was stolen, then, his animals mysteriously died, and then he began to accuse those around him of not giving him his money properly. Now we find ourselves in a situation where it's Haman versus Nadia Nadir versus Renee Marcus. How did we get here? Well, you're going to hear all about that on this evening's broadcast. Now, I don't have a dog in this fight, and I'm not going to tell you who you should believe. I want you to read the facts, see the facts, and then decide for yourself who you think is telling the truth in this saga. What I will share at the very end of the broadcast is what I believe is a teachable moment from the entire situation. So you'll want to stay tuned until the end for my thoughts on that. For now, let's go ahead and dive into the facts. And you'll want to hang on to your seats because you're in for a ride. Hi everyone. So I am going to walk you through a brief, truncated timeline of the situation from beginning to present. Now this is going to be a very high overview, so it won't include every detail or every nook and cranny, but it will be sufficient in giving you an idea of how things progressed on the financial side of things. Now, when I am doing investigations, I like to wear my glasses. It helps me to see better, and so now we have investigator DJ on the job. When you see the glasses, investigator DJ is in the house. And I love to write things out the old-fashioned way. It just helps me to see things in black and white very clearly. And I should say, as a disclaimer before we get started, that all of the information that I'm going to share with you is from the perspective of Nadia Nadir. Now, I cannot independently verify that this is the absolute truth of what happened. However, I have seen documentation, including loan agreements, GoFundMe accounts, emails, and things where I can confidently say that this is most likely what occurred. With all that said, the information I'm going to share with you again is the opinion of Nadia Nadir only, and I am not legally responsible for any of the information that is being shared. This channel is not a court of law. I am not a lawyer or a judge, and so the information here is really just representative of the thoughts of a particular party. So with that being said, let's dive into this timeline, and I like to call this the follow the money timeline. And something that I've learned in life is that you can usually figure out a situation if you follow the money. El dinero, l'argent. Yes, if you follow the money, you can usually put together certain things that have happened, why they've happened, and especially in terms of why people have fallen out. So let's start. So we go all the way back to September 10th of 2020. That feels like a long time ago. And this is when Haman Jallow did his very first video with Renee Marcus, who from hereafter we will just refer to her as RM. We'll probably refer to Haman as HJ and Nadia Nadir as NN for brevity. So Haman does the very first video with RM about working conditions, his lifestyle, what he was dealing with, and the struggles that he was having. And as we all know, that interview blew up on the internet, and Haman was subsequently let go. So shortly after September 11th, literally the next day, Haman posts the very first video on his newly founded YouTube channel, and it was about purchasing sheep. So let's talk a little bit about the psychology here. If you notice, the very first video that Haman creates is something where he's discussing money, buying, selling, marketing. And so we can already form a very solid perception of what this channel is going to be about. It's very interesting that Haman did not start his channel with ways that he could maybe give back, with things that he wanted to share about himself or his personality, but the first introduction to Haman on his channel is about money. And so that lets us know on a psychological level what is important to Haman, and it's dollars. And so we can already get a sense from the word go that in each video it's going to become progressively more and more centered about finances as opposed to making connections in the diaspora or being this sort of example to others. It's about money from day one. September 14th, Nadia Nadir enters the picture and she creates the GoFundMe, which at last donation had raised around $5,465. So Nadia Nadir is not in the Gambia, she's in America. And she was just a fan of Haman's. She was just someone who wanted to see this kid do well. She wanted to contribute to the diaspora. She shared with me that she was at home and she just really got caught up in the whole Back to Africa movement. And so she decided to assist Haman by creating this GoFundMe, which turned out to be very successful. In addition to creating the GoFundMe, Nadia Nadir proclaims that she gave Haman $1,900 as a gift, and she gave him a $5,000 interest-free loan on September 17th. And this I can verify. There is an email that I have seen and read with my own eyes where RM is on there as a witness, where Haman is accepting the $5,000 interest-free loan. Now, at the time, I don't believe that Haman was super transparent with his audience that the GoFundMe was really going to be money on top of the loan that was already provided to him. And in addition to that, the agreement with Nadia Nadir was actually that any monies raised in excess of $5,000 would go to her. So I want you all to start thinking about this and think about this in the wider perspective. When you're donating to a GoFundMe and you see the cause, you think you're just donating to help this young man purchase a boat, or you think you're just donating to help this young man purchase a home. But what you were actually contributing to was for a loan that Haman had already taken out, where he had already received that $5,000 well in advance. Something to consider. Follow the money. All right, so sometime, I'm going to jump around a little bit because this is relevant. Sometime between August and September, there was a falling out. And this falling out slipped quietly past the radar of everyone on YouTube. But this falling out occurred between Renee Marcus, Nadia Nadir, and Haman Jallow. Now, Nadia Nadir maintains that she really doesn't have much understanding of what went down between Haman and Renee personally, but Renee in an email indicated that number one, Haman suddenly changed his account details, and we're talking the PayPal account, things like that he had suddenly changed his account details, effectively locking her out. She thought he had been hacked, but really Haman was simply cutting her out of the equation. And so she indicates very strongly to Nadia Nadir that she believes that Nadia Nadir and Haman pretty much ganged up and pulled what she called a stunt on her by changing the account details after she was the one who gave Haman the publicity. She was helping him start this new life, start his channel, all these things. Well, just about a month into it, Haman changed up on RM. He changed his account details and he pretty much was like, see ya. Thank you for the help. I'm out. And Renee appeared to have been very impacted by that because she thought that Haman and her had a bond or they were friends or whatever it was. And so she was pretty shocked. And some of her dismay is directed towards Nadia Nadir as well for not providing guidance to Haman in terms of like, oh, you should have told him to come to me like a grown-up and so on and so forth. And so essentially what happened here is we've got three folks all with their hands in the cookie jar, all with their hands in the PayPal, all with their hands in the GoFundMe. And you know what happens when you've got too many hands in a pot? Somebody gets kicked out. Because a lot of people will start to say, this money is getting divided up a little too much. It'd be much nicer if we only had to divide it between two people instead of three. Now, to my understanding, Renee Marcus maintains that she never received a dime. However, she does acknowledge that Haman has painted her name with lies, even going so far as to have told people that she purchased flights, that she was using the money, she was dipping into his money. And so Haman and Renee fell out very quickly over money. So now we just have Nadia and Haman. Now, Renee also maintained that she worked with Haman less than a month from August to early September, so she got out of this pretty quickly. And so in the end, it actually looks like Renee, by them kind of kicking her out of the equation, and Nadia Nadir again maintains that she had nothing to do with it. Renee doesn't think so. But by kicking her out, they actually might have saved her because now she really has no responsibility for what has happened with this GoFundMe. So there's a lesson right there. Sometimes when you get kicked out of a situation, it's actually for your own good. Now, let's talk about the GoFundMe. Haman in the video stated very clearly that he did not have access to the GoFundMe. He was not able to pull the money out as he wished, and that he never had control over the GoFundMe. Well, get ready for this. We have an email with the support representative at GoFundMe to confirm that that is in fact false. Hi, DJ from the future here. As we're going through the investigation, I want you to keep in mind 5 key takeaways. Number 1, Renee Marcus and Nadia Nadir are not the same person. I can 100% verify this because I have spoken on a video call with Nadia Nadir, and I have confirmed that she is in fact a person, a real human, and she is not Renee Marcus. Number 2, Renee Marcus was not at all involved in the administration or the handling of the GoFundMe account, except as the initial witness that it was indeed collateral for the loan. So Renee Marcus had no direct involvement with the handling of the GoFundMe funds. Number 3, Haman Jallow did accept control of the GoFundMe account. He had full access to it, and you will see those in the documents provided. Number 4, Haman Jallow did not withdraw the funds in time, so Nadia Nadir ended up paying him in direct payments via PayPal and other sources. Number 5, and most important of all, based on all of the evidence that we've seen, including bank statements, checking accounts, emails, GoFundMe emails, we can confidently say that Haman Jallow did in fact receive the money from Nadia Nadir. Now, what Haman Jallow did with the money after he received it, only he can answer that. But I want to be clear. We have seen tons of documents that back up everything that Nadia Nadir is saying. I'll leave it to you from there. And that brings us to the end of our investigation. Now, there are a couple of key lessons that we can all learn from this situation, and I would like to share those teachable moments with you now. Number 1, stop getting in other people's business. I know we always think that we know best. However, some people are in the situations that they're in because that is what their character allows. You can't make someone be ready for something that they are not ready for. You can't make someone grow up until they are ready to grow up. And so by jumping into the middle of a situation with a person whom she did not know very well, Nadia Nadir in this case bore the brunt of that decision. And so in our own lives, let's take a step back before trying to jump in the middle of other people's business. Because oftentimes you will be the one left holding the bag. And that's not a good place to be in. The second teachable lesson here is big. If they did it to someone else, they'll do it to you. In this case, Haman had shown his character with the previous family that he had worked for. When their reputation was on the line, Haman did not speak up for them. He did not defend them. He left them hanging. And guess what? He did the same to Renee, and he's done the same to Nadia Nadir. Nadia and Renee thought that because of their goodness and because of them stepping up to the plate, that Haman would somehow treat them differently than he had treated his previous employers. And what they found out is that just wasn't the case. So in our own lives, let's remember that if people act a certain way towards others, sooner or later, they're going to act that way towards you. If they lie to their boss, if they cheat their waitress, if they are rude, if they are whatever, whoever they are, it's going to eventually be directed towards you. And so don't make the mistake that some of the folks in this situation made, where they thought that him treating that family a certain way was just a one-off. Because in the end, he repeated the exact same behavior, just with new people. And so I hope these lessons add something to you and to your lives, because really we can all learn from this situation. None of us are perfect. None of us are without error. We make mistakes every day. I make mistakes a lot. But in this situation, I think we can learn that it's more beneficial to stand back and let someone handle their own affairs than you getting involved and being left holding the bag. What do you think about this situation? Are you surprised that all of this came to light? Or did you see this coming? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you on the next investigation.